I think when things seem like crazy, like the idea for us to move across California years ago, and then the idea to move all the way back felt crazy in my head, and it was like just like wild enough to like I feel like that is the Lord, like that's got and things fall into place, and I feel like in those moments, as I step out just a little bit, I start getting just a picture opening up of like, okay, what's the next move? What's the next move? And it's kind of like just I'll step out a little and trust the Lord that this is Him, and He starts revealing like another piece of it.
Well, we're hanging with Josh Baldwin. Thanks for spending some time with us today.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here. Yeah.
Gets to know you a little bit better. Why don't we start from the beginning? How did you come to know Jesus?
All right. I thought it was like the beginning.
Let's start before that.
Let's talk about your parents.
How were you
How'd
born?
they meet? How did I come? I was born on a Sunday in church the next, literally, actually.
But they were like a Christian family?
Yeah, my dad's a pastor.
Oh, wow.
And he was. I mean, he's still a pastor. Still travels and speaks and has written some books. But he was also he was our worship leader too, and he was big into music. So
was this a small church then, or?
It was small, and then at one point I'm from a small town in North Carolina, so it's like 14,000 people in my whole county, and our church got up close to 1,000, which in our little county,
that's pretty.
It was the big church in the county,
yeah.
But still, very small town church, and so I grew up in church, so I don't remember life without church and the Lord, so that's really, I came to know Jesus just through my family, really, my parents, and that's how I got into music. Was playing drums with my dad at church. I think I was 12 when I started officially doing it. I mean, I would jump up there, but we had our drummer moved away, and so I was like next in line. I was the next best. Which didn't mean, it doesn't mean much. We didn't have a long list of great musicians, but I was it. So that's when it kind of, the bug hit me of just wanting to be a part of music. And so, yeah.
That's cool. So you're a preacher's kid.
I'm a PK, yeah.
Did you go through typical preacher's kid rebellion?
No, I didn't.
Wow.
I knew that was your next question. I was like, were you like a bad preacher's kid? No.
Well, when are you going to do it then?
I know, seriously, any minute now, honestly. I didn't. I was a pretty good kid. My sister was more of she probably was more of the preacher's kid who rebelled a little bit, but is back and loves Jesus. She always loved Jesus. She just tested the waters a little bit more and tested the boundaries more than I did. But I just didn't. I don't know. I had a healthy fear of my father and probably the Lord, and just kind of knew at least the direction I wanted to go. And I wasn't a super, bad kid, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was a goody two-shoe kind of boy, but.
You said a healthy fear of your father, and I wonder.
I mean that in the best way.
Yeah, right.
I mean, just I didn't want to disappoint,
Well, that's a good way to view
Yeah.
it. Like my wife, her dad was a police officer.
Yeah.
And so the best interrogation techniques you would ever even conceive of.
Sure
and so that's where she was afraid of, she didn't ever want to get in trouble because she would get in trouble.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that I just, me and my dad are close. We're close and are still close. And so I think I was just I don't want to what would my dad think if I did this, or what, and then I think that ended up being a healthy view of who the Lord is in my life too, is just because I have a great father. So it was both of those came hand in hand, and well, what would the Lord, if he's watching me right now, and so it was great. It wasn't there was definitely going to be discipline if I were to step out, but it wasn't that as much as it was just I love my dad. I don't want to I don't want to hurt him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's great. Talk about your family. Are you
Yeah.
married? Or-
I'm married. And I have 2 kids. My daughter's 10 and my son, he's 8. He's almost 9. So they're pretty close. They're like 14 months apart. And they're great. They're amazing. They're very opposite, but it works out great. They get along, and they're just, we've moved all over the country. Well, we've moved across the country with them twice, from North Carolina to California, and we were out in Redding for 6 years, and then we just moved back to the Nashville area. It's been great that they've had each other. They're like pretty close together, so yeah, they're great.
How has moving affected them as kids? Is it tough?
It was, well, the first one, we moved from Charlotte to Redding, California, and I mean, they were so little, they didn't really know the difference, but it was tough for them to leave their friends, but also we travel a lot and we take them with us a good amount. So, I mean, I look at them and then think about my childhood and how, like, we moved like a little bit, and like we only moved from like, an hour, like a town an hour down the road, and that just like gutted me.
Yeah, some
Like
pastors move around all over the place, and some don't move as much.
Right,
so.
and we did that with my dad once, and that just like, I remember it just, it was hard, but my kids, it was hard for them, but I think they're so used to us moving or traveling, and we see we stay in contact pretty good with our friends. Honestly, I mean, the funny thing is technology now makes it.
Oh, I know.
They feel so much closer to their friends who still live in California, and then their cousins who live in Pennsylvania and North Carolina. That makes it easier. But then the Lord has been so faithful, and we moved here, and we were leaving a great neighborhood back in California with a lot of neighbors who went to our church, went to Bethel, and they had, tons of friends in the neighborhood they would play with. So we were leaving that and coming here to a neighborhood where we didn't know anyone. And we were just like, Lord, just please, we need just to give us grace, give us good neighbors. And we moved like right in between 2 houses where, first of all, both of the dads are eye doctors, which is crazy.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then, and they both there's 5 kids in each house. They're Christians, they love Jesus. The kids each have 3 kids, our kids. So they're just outside playing all the time. It was like we couldn't have like asked the Lord for a better situation for our kids coming here. So yeah, they're handling it pretty well for kids who have at 8 and 9 moved across the country and away from their friends. But
talk about the song "Into the Wild."
yeah, well,
where's that come from?
It's and it's a great segue from talking about my kids, because my son is in the music video for Into the Wild, and it came the original. I think the original idea for the song just came from thinking about like a journey with the Lord, and how a lot of times it feels more crazy and like you're jumping out into something unknown than it does safe in a way. I remember somebody said, that was our pastor, said the Lord, God's good, but he's not safe. He's not always safe, and I mean it, like there's a lot of times that we are asked to do things that just don't make sense to us. It's like, what? That doesn't feel like very comfortable, Lord. And really it's like, that feels like this journey with him is just a day after day of like stepping out into something unknown. And so that's how it started. The song started. And then thinking about mainly that first the first verse, I had the whole song. We had written it. And then the first verse, the original verse, it just didn't feel like it fit to me. And I remember we were recording the song, and the day before we recorded it, I was in the shower, which is where I finish a lot of songs, I feel like.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. I just like, there's such a freedom. You're just,
Well, you sound amazing in there.
You sound great.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking in the shower, like, that first verse, it's got to be, that's not it. Whatever I have is not it. I got to do something else. And I'm like, you're singing this tomorrow. You can't just change the word. And but I just started thinking about the disciples and them stepping out and following the Lord. And I just rewrote that whole first verse in the shower. and which is there's a calling you placed upon my life, and step out with both. I just kept thinking about Peter and like, what did he know? Like, oh my gosh, when he said yes to Jesus, like, however many months or years later, he's going to be walking on water. He's going to be like stepping out of a boat and doing something crazy because of this man who he's following. And what a wild adventure that is. And so that's where the song like landed for me, was just thinking about the disciples and how that applies to my life and stepping out. And then, with my son was in the music video, and he is the music video, which is funny. When we talked about doing that with him, they were like, we should have, my son's name's Bear. It's like, we should have Bear in the video, and we can, we'll have him in there, here and there. And I was like, oh yeah, that's great. And then come to find out, he pretty much is, this whole thing rested on my 7-year-olds at that time. And I was like, wow, I hope he doesn't stink at this, because then we just won't have a video. But it turned out he's really great. He did great. We went to the Redwood Forest, and he got to, get on his bike and be a kid, really, just in front of a camera. It was awesome. But it was just that picture of a father being with his son and just encouraging him to step out in faith and to just go into the wild, into this adventure with the Lord. So it's really special. It feels like a special song to our family in particular. So.
Stepping out in faith, how do you know, first of all, that what you're stepping into is not your plan, but God's plan?
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a good, deep question.
Whose dream is this? Is this my dream?
Right.
Is this your
dream?
Well,
I mean, I think I have to, because that does happen. Sometimes and I did this more before I was married, before I had my wife too, because she's like the walking Holy Spirit in our home. She's just like, I feel like a lot of times like, this is the Lord. He wants us to step out. And so I think a lot of times, more recently, I felt like I have, I think when things seem like crazy, like the idea for us to move across California years ago, and then the idea to move all the way back felt crazy in my head. And it was like just like wild enough to like, I feel like that is the Lord, like and things fall into place. And I feel like in those moments, as I step out just a little bit, I start getting, just a picture opening up of like, okay, what's the next move? What's the next move? And it's kind of like, just I'll step out a little and trust the Lord that this is him. And he starts revealing like another piece of it. And, that times where he's more of a lamp to your feet than he is like a light to the whole path thing. And
that's
and
good.
So I think for me, that's how I feel like, other than just talking and asking him and reading in the word, a lot of times it takes stepping out.
Yeah.
And when he meets me there, then I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to step out again. And then there's times I've tested it, stepped out, and I'm like, okay, no, it's not the timing, or this isn't him, or this, and I don't beat myself up. I'm like, I tried, I stepped out. And I think the more you step out, the more he can trust you with things. So
that was an interesting statement. Yeah. The more you step out, the more he can trust you.
Yeah.
Wow. That's deep.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's good. I'll have to think about that one. Yeah. What would you say to somebody, because there are people that are going to watch this or hear this that feel like they've got this big dream or thing from God? Yeah. What would you just tell them to do?
I would say give it to him.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I've just said like he gives it to us, but I think there's something. I love going. I love going on walks and just it's like my time with the Lord, like go on a walk, just be by myself, and a lot of those times are just me, just like talking, just sharing, just kind of unloading, sometimes venting, and it just takes me just like, okay, this is what I'm feeling, God. This is what I want to do. This is what I feel like you have, and like, is this you? Is this what's next? Is this what's next for my family? And it's just me like giving it to him. Like I'm gonna give it to, and I'm gonna choose not to worry, because I know for me, I will worry about everything. I will like, I will find things to worry about, and so I think for me, I have to give it to him so that I won't worry about it, and so that I just trust in him. And my wife and I talk about it. We'll pray about it. So I mean, it feels like such a simple, practical answer, but I think sometimes we overcomplicate our relationship with the Lord, and it's a relationship, and just it means communicating, and it means talking, and it means sharing your heart, and so
I think you're right. If that's true, if it's just a relationship with God, we put a lot of stuff in there that doesn't need to be in there.
Yeah.
If it's just talking to him and hanging out.
It's just, he just wants to be, I mean, that's what he did with Adam, where, really, and
they walked together.
They just walked together, and they hung out. And they're just together. I mean, it does make things feel in my head a lot. I have to like make things, almost dumb it down to like as simple as like, it's like, oh, why am I feeling this way? Oh, I just didn't I didn't hang out with the Lord today. And it doesn't have to be this like, I don't have to go on this massive walk and just, this is my prayer time, but like, sometimes it's just pulling away or go to my closet and shut the door and just like be quiet and just, okay, Lord, here's where I am,
Do you think that's something you have to be intentional about, or it doesn't happen?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I think anything that's meaningful like that, you have to be intentional. You have to put down other distractions. You have to put down things and just make your mind up. Okay.
Yeah.
This is what I'm doing. I got this. I walked into this place yesterday, the store, and they were handing out free like pictures, and on the back of the picture had like a nice little quote or saying, and I got one that had just a picture of clouds on it, and then I was like, they were all hanging, and I just kind of like was vibing with the one with the clouds. I was like, I'm just good to grab that, and I had no idea what it said on the back, and I like turned it around, and it said, set aside your phone for a while, and I was like, oh yeah, this is the one I should take. Like this is probably for me.
Yeah.
And I have it in my truck, and it's just like right there and reminding me to like, hey, put your phone down. Like just be intentional about your relationship with the Lord, your relationship with your wife, your relationship with your kids. Like be intentional, be present.
It is a strange time that we're in that, and obviously it's probably going to continue because it's with us now. It's in my pocket. It's everywhere I go.
Right.
But, up until 2009 or wherever I got this thing,
Yeah.
now wherever I go, I can be entertained.
Oh yeah.
And is that good? Is that a good thing?
I know. It's crazy.
I don't know if it is.
It's so funny. It's weird to have something that you can just pick up at any moment and just like have access to the whole world. And
right.
It's kind of creepy.
And maybe it's good just to be quiet for a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Maybe we're afraid to be quiet.
Probably.
Because it never happens. Constantly some sort of feedback is coming.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's always noise.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk about stand in your love.
Oh, okay. Stand in your love changed my life, and
that was the biggie.
It was the biggie, and it didn't just. Obviously, it like was my first single, so it let everyone know who I am and that I do this. But it changed me in just how I write and how I am okay with how I write now. That in a way that I wasn't always, and I mean that like it was one of the first songs in a while that I just wrote, and it just sounded like me. It sounded like it came out just the way that I heard it in my head, if that makes sense. It sounded like, a worship leader from North Carolina just wrote a song, just wrote a worship song, and it just felt like that. It felt like that roots, and I wasn't, and I think I'd gone for years and tried to write songs whether it be like worship songs for the church or just singer-songwriter types. I tried to write songs that maybe would reach everyone, and I would like kind of almost want to shave off any of my like culture off of them and just make them applicable to anyone. And I think in doing that, they weren't like authentic to just even who I was. And so when Stand Your Love came, it was such like it's the way it is, the way it sounds, the way everything about it is like, it oozes who I am and where I'm from. That when it was received so well, I mean, I think a lot of it was just like felt like this authentic thing that came from me, and so it just gave me permission, like, oh, I can just be myself, and people would rather, whether they don't like your style or not, or people just want to see people being authentic in themselves, and so it changed just even the way I write. It just that I feel comfortable, just like, well, this is how this is coming out, so.
Do you think that, I mean, because talking about how being in His love and no fear can be there when you're in His love, do you think a lot of people are dealing with fear?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I think that's what people get hit with the most. I think.
Yeah.
I think fear and I know like anxiety and panic has been a big weapon that the enemy's used towards people in the last few years. It feels like it's just ramped up, and so I think that's songs like that, messages like that have like really resonated with people more than anything. I think in the last few years, because we just need to be reminded, and I mean, it goes back into what just being with the Lord, walking with the Lord, standing with Him, standing in His love, like being, like knowing who you are in Him, is how we can go against all that. And
who are we in Christ?
yeah, gosh, we are sons and daughters. We are, I love. It feels like we're hovering all around the Father thing. We talked about my Father earlier. I think when we realize who we are in Christ, that we are sons and daughters and loved, you don't want to, like I said earlier, like I didn't want to disappoint my dad. I didn't want to like do other things. Just because of our love for Him, and there's this confidence that comes in knowing who you are in Jesus, and man, I love it. I don't even know how to explain it all the time, but I just know, like knowing who I am in Jesus, it's like gets me through so much overthinking, so much. I don't even know if I'm making sense, but yeah.
I think that I love that motivation that I don't want to do something because I don't want to disappoint my dad, or, this is why I'm being a good follower of Christ, because I want to please God.
Yeah.
So much better than, well, there's a bunch of rules I have to follow.
Right. Like I'm scared to get something wrong.
Exactly.
And then get punished.
I'm going to get dinged for it.
Yeah, right. No, that never works. That never lasts.
Right.
And I don't feel like the fruit that comes out of that is ever really awesome. But
the fruit.
It's
kind of lame fruit.
Is probably not the ripest of fruits. But
yeah.
Yeah, no, when it's done out of love and a respect and a honoring, it's, with my kids, I would rather them listen to me and obey, because they just love me and they respect me and their mother, and then just like, oh, I'm so scared that I'm not going to be able to, do whatever, or this is going to get taken away from me, or so yeah, it's really important.
That's good. What is God teaching you lately?
Oh my goodness, to trust Him, to I'm like, let me narrow it down. What is? There's like a long list, I think, and He's like, hey, this. I think a lot of it boils down to just like trusting Him, and I feel like there's things on the horizon that I want to do, and the new things that I'm stepping out and going to be a part of here and there. And I get, like I said earlier, I get worry starts creeping in, and just like, how is this going to work, Lord? Or how am I going to do this? Or how are you going to take care of all this? When we move, how are we going to, who's going to be our neighbor's guide? I have all these things that I can worry about anything. And the Lord, I feel like, is constantly teaching me, like, just trust me, and just I always go back to, like, I just remind myself of all that he's done for me, and the evidence of his goodness all over my life. Look at there. Didn't even mean to do that. Just plugged it.
Nailed it.
but it's true. Like,
Yeah.
when I think about, that's like, I'm very practical and simple, and I have to, like, turn around and look at, like, what has happened. Like, has he ever let you down? No. Has he been, like, have things happened always when you wanted them? No. But the Lord's, he's on time. It's just not always when you think is the, somebody told me, he's like, the Lord's always on time. He's not always prompt, but he's on time. It's like, okay. And so, yeah, I think he's just teaching me to, like, just settle down and just trust him. And in those daily times with him, it builds faith, it builds trust, it builds relationship. When my relationship with my wife is strong because I am with her daily. I talk to her daily. We have a relationship. I trust her, and so I think that's like the undergirding thing. I'm always, like, learning more and more with the Lord, is just trust him.
I think that's good. Thinking about how God has provided in the past, or how he's come through for you. My wife and I, several years ago, started this little 3-ring binder of things that God had done for it. And most of it was financial. Like, it was like we were given this, or this was provided, or that was provided. But whenever I'm like, I need a little faith, I kind of crack that sucker open.
That's
like,
so good. Yeah.
He did come through at this point, and he came in, through there too.
I love that. I need to start doing that. That's great. That's great. I love that. We have those, and we have, like, a thing we'll write down, like, just even words that maybe we've been given, or encouraging words and whatever that we've been given over the past, and
that's cool.
That have, like, that have ended up helping us through a season, or ending up, like, kind of like people just giving us words like, I feel like I see you doing this, and now, and then we are, and it's like we put that down, like, oh my gosh, remember when the Lord like used someone that we trusted to, like, just build faith in us and encourages us, and here's who I see you called to be. And we didn't believe it back then, but now we look and see what we're doing. And it's just reminding ourselves of his faithfulness and his goodness. Just
that's awesome.
Can carry.
I love that. So. What's bringing you joy these days?
Well, my kids always bring me joy. Well, not always. Today was Today was a really great day of kids bringing you joy, just because I had the morning, my kids are homeschool, so they get to be home, and I get to, we get to hang out and take them. I took my daughter, my wife and my son were gone this morning, so it was just me and my daughter, and I didn't tell her, we had planned on getting her a bike for her birthday, but she didn't know, and she just thought maybe she's going to get it the day of. Anyway, so, I told her, we're going to go, me and you are going to go out today. We're going to have a date. And she's like, okay. So we got in the car, and she was like, where are we going? And I was like, we got to go to Walmart first. And so we went to Walmart, and I just walked her back to the bikes. And I was like, all right, we're getting you a bike today. And she's like, what? And just,
that's fun.
Going nuts.
Yeah.
And so I bought her, because I was like, I could surprise her, but then I want it to be something that she picks out and wants. And so I got so much joy out of just getting her a bike today. She hadn't had a new bike in years, but that was something big. But other than that, music and golf.
Golf?
Golf brings. I'm not great, but I just love it.
You enjoy it?
I enjoy it. It brings me a lot of joy.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
That's awesome.
And living in the South.
You like living in the South?
Oh, I just love being back with the humidity and the fireflies. It's just amazing.
The humidity, I didn't expect that.
I know. I honestly, I didn't miss the humidity when I was in California. And then when I would come to visit, and I would always think, ugh, I'm so glad I don't live in this humidity anymore. And then there was something that happened last year when I was visiting. The only thing I ever went to do last year was I came to Nashville to record my album. And I remember just being here, and just one night I'm sitting outside and I see fireflies, and it's just humid and nasty. And I just thought, I miss this so much. And I was like, I just want my kids to grow up like
With some
catching
humidity.
fireflies and with some humidity like I did. It's great for your skin. It's just, And I don't know. It's just, that was like when the Lord like put the little like thing in my heart where it's like, oh, I think I want to move back. And yeah, so I just drive around in my truck out here and just thank the Lord for fireflies and humidity.
There you go. Humidity
Very
and
simple.
fireflies. The
Humidity
keys to
and-
life. Humidity and
Humidity
fireflies.
and yeah, not humility, humidity.
Humidity. Exactly. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me. It
Really
was
appreciate
fun.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.